if you don't get the practice in. But I'm not worried about Space Station. To Achieve's point, when you are the best team and when you win so much, you do, as far as analysis goes, when you finally lose, people are like, that's a slump, that's an issue. That's not necessarily the case. You're going to lose at some point. And for Space Station, they're still a top team here in North America. For Soniqs, they are coming off a very sloppy series before. See if they could pick things up here, play a bit more of a cleaner game against Space Station Gaming, which is a tall order to ask. I think RLCS will fit in just fine. It's been tough for the Soniqs the last couple of stages, or excuse me, regionals. They'll see if they can finally do it here in Regional 3.
Yeah, RLCS, he's had some up and down moments since he's joined the Soniqs roster. It's been some pretty big shoes to fill, but he's been pretty good in the midfield when Soniqs do play well. And so you're definitely looking at RLCS during this match and hoping he can continue a very solid midfield game and really help get J-Russ going, because if Soniqs have hope in this match, J-Russ has to be finding opportunities.
Yeah.
And he has to be behind the ball. The Soniqs got to find any way they can to create space for him, because he's their splash player. He is the X factor for the Soniqs.
Yeah. I mean, when you looked at the roster before with Shock, you had these two massive weapons in J-Russ and Shock. Now you have RLCS and Sathu, who can definitely facilitate the game a lot more together, but J-Russ is going to be the guy to look for, to be that ignition for offense and those individual plays to help set up or score himself.
Well, Arsenal, he pulled off on his initial challenge, or just tried to trap the ball back into the corner, and now he has a demo on top of it. Reddle's slowing it down, takes a quick shot, and he snuck it into the top corner, but it was for naught. J-Russ somehow snuffed that ball out of the net.
And Sathu had no boost here on the breakaway. They could have had maybe a counterattack rather, but here comes Sathu. This ball's going to come out to J-Russ, has to take it slowly. Got Arsenal to bite, and unfortunately it's going to be cleared away. But Soniqs had used so much boost on that defensive play just a moment ago, Jorby, that they couldn't counterattack.
And to me, that's the toughest part for the Soniqs, as J-Russ gets behind the ball. You can't just take out one player on Space Station and hope to find success. Every single player has the ability to take over a game by themselves, and that's not even how Space Station usually like to play. But so far, I'm really impressed with the Soniqs' ability on defense overall, but where they're really lacking is past the midfield game right now. The ball jets by the midfield line and a huge whiff on the back wall, but everyone from Space Station pulls off. They have to find a way to get that consistent pressure, find the positioning in midfield where you're reading where Space Station are hoping to clear the ball. Right now, Soniqs, they get to about midfield, but it becomes a fight every single time by the time they get back.
And Space Station are giving them the space through the midfield quite a few times here. They're not rushing to the Soniqs. They seem pretty confident on defense at the moment. They've done a good job to move out from their half when the Soniqs advance. For Space Station, I think it's about converting the opportunities that you're going to be given, because you feel like you are going to get some chances. Here's typical, maybe a flip reset. J-Russ has to make the save, but you're seeing the space in the final third for Space Station that they're able to take advantage of.
RLCS probably approached that challenge best he could. Arsenal went for the fake challenge on Sathu, but J-Russ was playing the loss. Now the ball jet back to RLCS. The Space Station, they've been able to keep the ball away from the Soniqs on their own half, but they have had struggles trying to push that ball in. Reddles had probably the best shot for Space Station so far that J-Russ just made the better play on. But the challenges haven't been all Space Station here in the attacking half. Soniqs do have to play a lot of defense, and if they don't get out quickly, they could be in trouble, but RLCS keeps them alive for a second longer. Sathu turns it around out of boost. Hopefully can steal some for his team, and he does. Can Soniqs take over midfield here? Well, J-Russ will push forward, but without any boost, you're really just hoping that Sathu and RLCS can keep this ball locked and get a quality opportunity on net.
Tough situation there for the Soniqs, but they're doing a good job of staying in the final third. They broke out and they stayed here for another 20 seconds or so. This time, though, it's going to be cleared downfield, and Reddles is going to find the gap for the first goal.
Yeah, Sathu didn't have enough time. RLCS tried to cut in on that bounce. He was expecting maybe a harder rebound out. Instead, it was higher up, and he was in no position to recover for it. He turns back, and that puts Sathu in a really tough position. He needed that extra half second or even more to get back to net.
Unfortunately, Sonics have been boost starved a lot of this game, forced to use a lot of boost just to defend their own net from all three players. And I think Sathu went to go get that corner, which is why he was behind the ball just by a second or so. And with 10 seconds left now, Spacestation looking to get one more, maybe Sonics to tie it up. Roldiz actually misses the touch, gets by one. Sathu has some open space here to work with a second left. It will get the bounce for the Sonics. Can they keep it alive? Arsenal's gonna kill it. And Space Station take game one.
So Space Station aren't trying to do anything too fancy here, Corelli. You pointed it out earlier with the way they were just giving up midfield to Sonics, because every time they did, Sonics were just pushing the ball forward. It's almost like for the entire 5 minutes, Sonics were expecting a challenge to come in midfield, and then it would never come. The ball jets away from them, and then they're in a low boost situation because Space Station really did a great job of keeping the boost locked down for the majority of that match. And Sonics, as good as the defense was, they only registered 2 shots on net.
Yeah, a very conservative approach from Space Station here in this matchup. And I think that kind of goes to show the confidence they have on both sides of the field. But like you said, Jorby, they did give up a bit of that midfield, and that was fine. You know, Sonics didn't really take advantage of it too much. They weren't able to break out. And to your point, it was because of the boost game, especially on the Sonics half, the Space Station players were able to soak it up and make sure that Sonics, anytime that they had space to move out, they didn't have a lot of options because they didn't have a lot of boosts. And so Space Station were very confident afterwards.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the difficulty comes with Space Station, even when they're just on defense, do such a good job of mixing things up and never really giving you the look that you're expecting. Arsenal, especially in that game, I thought that he baited the Sonics on a lot of challenges, forced them to give up the ball on those fakes, and that's been a struggle for the Sonics. It's adjustable. Sonics can absolutely adjust to that in game 2. I think that there's a good foundation to build on when you're playing defense so well. You didn't really double commit at all. The worst thing that happened to you was that you lost the boost game, and I think that's very fixable. I think you can certainly, you know, have a more aggressive mindset in not aggressive, but more a calculated mindset, if you will, when you're approaching midfield as Sonics.
Well, and I think you are seeing the offense from the Sonics. It wasn't very strong. Like you said, they weren't able to register a lot of shots, but mostly there weren't a lot of dangerous opportunities for them here in this matchup, or in the first game, excuse me, against Space Station. That's credit to the Space Station defense, of course, but it does mean that the Sonics aren't really able to generate those dangerous chances to then find that final touch. It felt like Sonics had no opportunity once they were in the final third. And again, even with everything that we've said about Space Station, that defense held strong. They were able to move down the field very quickly. Reddle's goal was a great example of finally catching the Sonics out. I think Sathu was coming around to get some boost. That's why he took a wide rotation back around, 2 players under the ball from the Sonics. So for Space Station, they're able to get a hold of things here in this game. And while they don't blow them out, they look quite good.
Oh, just kidding. We're not going to start just yet. We had to get a new server up for both teams. That's why we're on a slight delay, but the players are set and we're about to get the lobby reset. Everyone's readied up and we'll be back into the match. Sonics losing the first game 1-0. If you're just tuning in, Space Station are recovering after that 5-game loss to Plot Twist earlier today. Plot Twist, one of 2 teams so far to qualify alongside Team Envy, and probably the second biggest surprise of the day alongside Zero Issue. But we're going to get back underway with Space Station and the Sonics. J. Russ and company trying to find a hole through the Space Station defense and hopefully a little more boost in tow.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for the Sonics going into this game is how do you control the boost, especially in your own half. Here's Roldiz with a little flip reset. Arsenal cuts it out and see if Sonics can maybe get a quick one here right off the bat. Not a bad setup from them, and unfortunately not able to capitalize. Here comes Arsenal and Typical.
Arsenal gets right under one, but J-Russ stayed right onto the ground. Knew that Roldiz was covering that first option on the flip reset. It takes multiple defenders to try to stop it. And it takes multiple defenders to try and stop Arsenal and fail at it.
And Arsenal didn't have a lot of boost. Oh, actually, he picked up the full canister in the corner on spawn and just uses it to turn back around and take the shot on net. So fortunate timing on the boost pickup there. He had only 11. And great offense from Space Station early on. I think when Arsenal originally took it up on that pinch, Typical had also pre-jumped, and he gets 2 to go here. And Arsenal, a second goal for him.
That just floats into the net. Arsenal pops up. Sathu enrolled his commit. And Sathu was expecting a straighter aerial, or at least a straighter dribble, maybe expecting Arsenal to dip a little bit more. But like his launch, if he was expecting any higher, was not good enough. And Arsenal sailed over his head. Rolled his realizing he had double committed, was way too late to do anything about it. And those are the types of goals you can't not give up against Space Station. Like, Space Station can't get easy goals, because otherwise, like, you have no hope against this team.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, Jorby, in the last game. Any of the players on Space Station have the capacity to take over a game. And when Arsenal's already up 2 goals in the first minute, you feel like it's already lost, really, against Space Station. Certainly not the case, but it's a great start for Space Station. You never want to give a team like this the lead.
Well, I mean, when you look at what we're now 6 minutes, 20 seconds of gameplay, Sonic still have only registered 2 shots on net. And look, Space Station just trapped them in the corner. J-Russ tried to challenge the ball, but Space Station just had superior positioning. And Reddles, he was patient on that first touch, lost the ball. But regardless, Space Station are making Sonic's life difficult. And typical mistouch might give them a boon, but Arsenal came back quickly, missed the next read, but Reddles picks it up. So that was a potentially dangerous situation for Space Station. They're not exactly out of it, but that corner has been... It's been terrible for the Sonics, but terrible sometimes can turn to your side. Or I don't know. It's not terrible for the Sonics, but terrible for Space Station on this. What a challenge.
Yeah, big Sathu coming through on that challenge and just drives himself. I don't think he even flipped. Just drove into the ball, and it pinches off of Reddles straight into the net. And Sonics will say thank you very much. That's how we get back into this game to cut the lead in half.
Love to be able to say that to an up-and-coming player. It's like, how can I score against an RLCS pro? It's like, just drive into the ball.
Slam your face into it, and it works.
It works. Well, J-Russ, that's a high ball. I almost had the read. Rolls is actually going to get the rebound off the crossbar and in. And all of a sudden, the Sonics swing this quickly.
Is that Coach Roll Diz right now? Look at this angle with the dominance. Good man. Look at that shot. And the defense, you could see from Space Station, they were not expecting that shot to be on target. Everyone kind of froze when he hit it. And just like that.
Rarely do finesse and dominance belong in the same sentence as a pair. And Reddles launches another one in. This is another gaffe on the Sonics defense.
And Roldiz just... actually, it does come off Roldiz. That has a blue trail. Unfortunately, it rolled his car a bit too far. And it just kind of ricochets off him and keeps its line on target. And unfortunately, I think the Sonics were expecting a challenge to at least not go directly backwards. And that one just goes into the back of the net for Reddles.
Roldiz, it's a high and hard ball, but Space Station have defended it and got it out. Now you have to really look at the Sonics on these next counterattack pushes. They have a little more confidence on their approach. Here's Sathu, nice pass to J-Russ. Typical dives for the save. Roldiz rolls it back across. J-Russ can't find it. Ripping around, Sathu picks it up, shoots and scores! And Sonics get right back in it.
J-Russ was so close, and we're going to see it here on the replay. Just off the post, but great positioning from Sathu to let that play develop. And he gets everyone with that slow touch as well. And Sonics still here, tied up.
Well, that's 2 critical passes from J-Russ now. That first double touch on the read off the back of the backboard. And then that pass right in front of the box. Just a light touch after Sathu gave him enough. J-Russ continuing to be the standout player on the Susquehanna Sonics. Now he takes another shot off the crossbar. Oh, Roldiz dove in hoping. And now everybody's in retreat. Sathu buys time, and that might actually turn into an opportunity. J-Russ slows it down against Reddles. Now he's got to beat Typical. Whips around one, and J-Russ! The fancy wheels all up in the Space Station box.
Oh, he called his name. He was the player to watch out for. How about you cut Typical and fake out Reddles into the back of the net for you, big fella. J-Russ takes the lead for the Sonics, and in commanding fashion as well. Full control through the defense of Space Station.
So a big goal. Now they're going to need a big defensive stop. Roldiz knocked that ball off the backboard, but Arsenal very quick back to it. Reddles denied immediately by J-Russ. The Sonics are done playing defense all the time. Instead, they're going back on offense with Sathu's shot saved by Arsenal.
Yeah, we've been getting a little granular with the players and talking about who they are, but just in this game alone, everyone from the Sonics has stepped up and has contributed to the 4 goals here. Everyone has picked up the pace as well, and it's just been smarter from the Sonics, just better decision-making in the final third, and it's just leading to so much success for them right now.
Yeah, not giving up the ball as much, but maybe also a byproduct of having more boost in the tank to be able to set up in those situations. I do think scoring that first goal, it switched that part of the brain back on for the Sonics. It's like, look, we got this. Like, we're just giving this up to them. They're reading it, and now Sonics playing a little more calculated on offense, and it's looking much better. Sathu has been winning challenges like it's his day job, and it is in midfield to keep the ball away from Space Station, but it's difficult. They're having to that was a tactical retreat. Everybody on Sonics kept possession of that ball, and Space Station are just trying to trap them in as they progress on offense. But final 10 seconds, and Space Station might tie it up. Civical wants the slow play, but J. Russ smacks it back to the side. Arsenal back to Civical, tipped it off the crossbar. Arsenal punches it in. 3 seconds, Space Station don't go.
Oh, that was a great decision there from Sipical to put it wide of the net, and Arsenal wanted the shot. Sipical picks it off, and then Arsenal comes back around off the back wall to tie it up with 3 seconds left. Space Station not going down without a fight.
Well, it's gotten quite hot on this pitch. 8 goals scored between these two teams. The Sonics definitely feeling much better about their performance as we start OT.
Absolutely, and unfortunately for them, they weren't able to close it out here in regulation, so they got to go to overtime. And this is a scary situation to see Sipical come off the ceiling, and he can't get it by Roldiz. Good defense there. He was fully covered for the shot and the backboard.
That's now a couple of times that Roldiz has been tasked with that very awkward clear on the backboard, where you see Space Station lurking and you're looking for the one gap. Your touch has to be perfect, otherwise they might find the back of the net. Sipical will steal the boost away, but this might be J. Russ's chance to set up some pressure for the Sonics. Both Sathu takes a wide rotation out, seeing that pass immediately develop, and this is going to be Arsenal's ball. He gets demoed on the play. Roldiz is going to let it drop for J. Russ. Wow, J. Russ in the first man role. Like, not just in this overtime, but in all of game 2. He has been so difficult to beat in a 50 situation. If you're trying to read what he's doing with the ball, he's had solid passes. He had the sick ground game. Everything is working for J. Russ right now. If he can get behind the ball again with space, or if his team can set themselves up, well, Sonics might be looking at a game win, but overtime continues. J. Russ couldn't handle it, and Reynolds couldn't find the rebound either off the crossbar.
Very tense there for Sonics with that shot off the post, and they're giving up a lot more pressure to Space Station. This one is going to go right into the top right corner. Reynolds with a perfect shot and nobody home for Sonics.
Well, they had cleaned up their defense to prevent these types of goals from going in the second half of game 2, and then, feeling the rhythm a little too much, got blindsided for a second and was like, wait, nobody is able to play the loss on this challenge. We're all spread out in midfield. All 3 players were sitting in the midfield zone, and no one was ever going to be able to get that. That's the 3rd goal like that, Corelli, in that game that went in like that for Space Station.
Yeah, it's a bit painful, actually, for the Sonics, because I thought they played a great game here. It was a high-scoring game for both teams, 9 goals total here in Game 2, but it felt like there were some weaker goals given up by the Sonics. This one in particular on the replay package here from Arsenal, he got 2 to go. They were fortunate with that one from Sathu. I think it was a good challenge, but this one was all J. Russ with the cut past Typical and the beat on Reddles. But there's also another one where the challenge of Roldiz, just the ball goes right through him basically into the back of the net. That one feels, I think, the worst for the Sonics, where maybe that was the difference maker here in this game. You might have won in regulation otherwise.
Yeah, I think that it's funny because game 1 we talked about, wow, Sonics did a great job on defense in low boost situations. Then game 2 is like, oh, Sonics have boost. They're getting creative on offense. but the ball keeps sailing over their third man. So now, Corelli, as with all things in life, it's all about the balance for Soniqs. And the balance includes bouncing off the inside of the post so that it's not immediately 0-1.
Very close. And I'm surprised Arsenal even had a chance at that. The defense struggled to stay with it. And here comes Sathu and Roldiz. Now J-Russ forced to go, but a big clear. Can Arsenal get there? Not enough in the tank to catch up. And Sipical's got to pass it back. And Arsenal going to take it backwards and maybe get a dunk on J-Russ. Unfortunately, not fast enough, and Soniqs are out.
You know, for all the doubt about Soniqs and Roldiz coming in to replace Shock, I think that the more Soniqs play, the more comfortable he looks in the rotation. It hasn't always been perfect in this match, and he certainly made his mistakes in those situations. But when Soniqs are playing well as a team, he's a key part of that. He finds the good touches out towards midfield. He plays pretty solid backboard defense. And I think it's, you know, on offense where he really starts to struggle, especially when he's in second man, where, you know, he wants to play a certain tightness to the first man, but not always I'm not going to say cognizant, but not always fully aware of how Space Station are reading the plays. I think that's the one thing that's troubled Roldiz, but when he's been on, it's been great for the Soniqs. I mean, they've done a great job here shoveling this ball away from Space Station. Space Station have been forced to, you know, they can't carry the ball out and get demoed. Roldiz, that's a good 50 to set things up, but Soniqs aren't really in the spot to do anything with it. That's going to force them the whole way back.
This is a good ball here for Sathu. Unfortunately, couldn't get a hold of it. Sipical actually let it go, so Sathu could have caught back up to it. That's the space that the Soniqs want to take advantage of, though. And here's a good pass. Sathu couldn't connect. J-Russ there to set things up. And unfortunately, things are going to slow down. A big boom from J-Russ as both teams trade it back and forth in the midfield.
Space Station really trying to shake up the rotation on Soniqs end. Not through bumps or demos, really, but through those surprise touches from Reddles in front. But he just finds a solid textbook pass over to Arsenal. But you'll see Reddles where he loves to be, which is hunting around the offensive zone. Arsenal picking up the goal off Sipical's demo. But Reddles not involved on this one.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Sipical could get that demo. He didn't have a lot of boost left, and Arsenal's just there, says, I'll take that. No one's home. And everything opened up by Sipical. That's the type of player he is. He will open up opportunity for you and literally serve it to you on the goal line and put your team up 1-0.
And if Soniqs can't pull it here, it's not over for them. Sathu, a good attempt to sneak it into the top corner. Roldiz launches it, and Space Station were going to let that drop. But J-Russ had enough boost to catch this. Look for a pass, but Arsenal makes it difficult. Still, Sathu, he's tired of watching these clears go over their heads, and he's been playing a much more relaxed third-man position. That tends to be where he seems to feel the most comfortable, is when he's in a more relaxed position like that. The defense is typically more stable that way. But Soniqs are having a lot of trouble getting that consistent offense going, Corelli.
Well, they're having trouble getting consistent offense, but how about that? J-Russ. As soon as we talk about offense, he heard us. He heard something about Soniqs' offense, and he picks it up himself and carries it across the field. Got some help from that post as well. Sipical was right there, and the Soniqs get one back. Arsenal
was just slow to that challenge. He was expecting something a little more straight line, but then he realized too late that J-Russ was still very much behind the ball and could push it forward. But it doesn't really matter. The Space Station get right back on offense. Reddles double tap. Sent away. J-Russ, long ball. He's like, hey, look, we can score a couple long ones too.
I was going to say before that had happened was, yeah, they weren't generating a lot of offense, but they're also having trouble getting numbers back on defense. There's been a lot of times where it's been 2v1 or at least two players moving down for Space Station. J-Russ doesn't care, though. We don't want to talk about the defense. He wants offense, baby, and he's putting it away today.
He's done with the defense. It's time to score a bunch of goals. Roldiz harassing the last defender in net, forced Arsenal to try to make a diving save on his way back, and J-Russ gets another. So here come the Soniqs. Okay. Can they keep it going, though? The thing you might want to look at is, do they get more, do they get more optimistic with their positioning now? Do they start creeping up a little too far forward again? And then Space Station pick that gap? Or can they maintain, can they remain stable, I guess is what I'm really trying to say. It's going to be tough with 50 seconds left.
Yeah, but I do like the setup there with the bump from Roldiz. I mean, J-Russ gets credit for the goal, but that was all Roldiz bullying that guy in the net, that last man. And those are the types of plays that you want to really isolate the defense of Space Station. And Soniqs all of a sudden finding a lot more space in the midfield now. They could get another one before this game ends.
Cool. Well, that one's going to be for Sypical. Roldiz stops Sypical and picks up the ball. J-Russ immediately turns on this, and he wins the next touch. So now the Soniqs back on offense. Arsenal's low on boost, trying to avoid the demos. He actually secures his own boost, gets a little power boost from Sypical, who says, "That's my ball, thank you." Reynolds gets demoed. Sypical tries to score, but J-Russ picked up the save. Time running out. Arsenal wants one more try. Throws it on the backboard, and saved by Sathu. Sypical, one more chance. Arsenal, 12 boost in a dream. He's got Reynolds downfield, denied. Soniqs take game 3 and are still in this set. Here we go.
And they were able to squeak a couple goals out there, and I think Space Station might have fallen asleep on defense a couple times, but I think that Space Station had a lot more of the pressure here in this game, and it just felt like they didn't put away enough goals. I mean, they only scored 1 on the 10 shots that they had here in this game. Soniqs, though, I don't want to take away from their win at all. There were some great setup. J-Russ, I like him behind the ball. I think that's where the Soniqs are the most comfortable. Roldiz doing his thing, especially on that second goal. Those are the types of plays that I think Soniqs are going to find success against Space Station here in particular.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if in game 4 we see Reynolds start to target a little bit and try to take out the one player that's consistently found the back of the net. To, you know, Roldiz and Sathu's credit, I think they're doing a lot to create opportunities for J-Russ. But, you know, if you take J-Russ out of the equation, where does that leave the Soniqs offense? So I wouldn't be surprised to see them go for that. Or who knows, maybe they just continue to try to play, you know, the way they have, steal the ball away, kill them on a quick counterattack. You mentioned the weakness on Soniqs with Space Station's counterattack constantly in disadvantages. With, you know, the numbers advantage has been Space Station's most of the time. But we'll see what Space Station does, if they adjust to this or if they just take Reynolds forward towards the net. Oh, he tried to wrap around it. That was a close one, but not close enough.
Yeah, and again, the boost game was very low for the Soniqs in that particular position. They're lucky they get out of it here early. See if the Soniqs can put together some offense early. Last time when they went out to an early lead, it felt like emotions ran high for them. They did so well. Everything felt so good. They got a lot of confidence from it. I don't know if confidence is really going to change anything, but they played a lot better, for sure, with that early lead.
And it wasn't the best challenge for Sypical. Roldiz was ready for it. The clear's good enough, though. And forced J-Russ to really work around 2 defenders, but he does so. Roldiz trying to take out the last, coming back into the net. And Soniqs really trying to employ this demo philosophy against Space Station to really harry the rotation. And it's working, as you see on screen right now. Roldiz pulls it up again. Space Station forced to wait for a lot of these touches. And while you're first to the touch and you're fastest there, sometimes patience wins out on defense, and that's exactly what happened there. But then maybe you respond with a demo. That's a high ball that easily grabbed by J-Russ and Roldiz. Oh, okay. It's a proper tennis match there for a couple seconds.
Yeah, that was a serve from the corner.
Sypical, just no success in that corner. That's where they had so much success in game 1. You know, winning that challenge in the corner, forcing a pass out in front of the box. But since then, even if the first man on Soniqs loses that challenge, second man has always been ready for it in those corners. I think that's been part of what has been so troubling for Space Station when they get on offense, is they consistently get pushed to the corners and then their possession dies there.
Yeah, it does feel that way, and it also feels like after their initial chance, they are able to stay on the final third, but things really slow down for them where they're not able to break into the center of the field anymore and set each other up. It's kind of this fight for the corner and nothing really goes anywhere until finally the Sonics are able to clear or pinch it away.
You know, Space Station really aren't trying to force the issue. They're still looking for the gaps and slowing down when they feel they need to, because sometimes the door opens itself and Reynolds punishes the Sonics. Oh, and the counterattack from Space Station was brutal.
So I'm curious why J-Russ went for this, because watching it from his perspective, he actually did flick his camera to check, or as the ball went over his head, his camera switched around. He did see Roldiz, but maybe he just wasn't looking for him. Obviously, I knew Roldiz was there looking for him in that replay, but maybe he didn't. And unfortunately, cut out Roldiz, and he had a free touch there. And giving up the goal, almost was able to make the save back, so he's got some work to do. He might just be able to earn one back here by himself. No flip reset for him, couldn't get all his wheels on it, and unfortunately, not able to put something away. SSQ has his attempt. Space Station still playing some solid defense, and they're able to break away.
It was starting to look a little shaky with two Space Station players feeling the press a little bit, but getting out will definitely reset that. And Zipical, well, he's not resetting anything. He just extends what's already a lead.
And you have to go up. You have to go up if you're J-Russ there, because you know 1, 2, 3 little touches there from Zipical. He's getting more and more control of the ball. Zipical reads him all the way and just sets up for the dunk. But you feel like as J-Russ, you have to go. And maybe Sonics are going to get one back off the kickoff. They will, and it's going to be SSQ.
This feels so cheeky on the kickoff. SSQ, he slows it down. He consistently does that when he's on the kickoff, because he's always trying to play the reaction read. That time he got it. He got a perfect hit on the ball, and you really couldn't ask for a better touch there for him to follow that up and score.
Yeah, side flipping into it just makes him arrive a little bit later on the kickoff, which just allows him to kind of push that past that first man and catch back up to it. Keeps his momentum. It came off his car perfectly, though. You couldn't really ask for a better kickoff.
Yeah. Well, they might not ask for a better possession. SSQ's got all the space in the world. He wanted that boost and the ball. Couldn't keep it close to him, but J-Russ will. And Reynolds, you see him kind of stutter stepping on the back wall, knowing that J-Russ is trying to out-mind game him as well. But again, here comes Space Station on the counterattack. So many times, the Sonics just let Space Station come to the back wall, and that's something I don't really understand, because those are always dangerous 50s. I don't care who you are, but just let Space Station drive the ball the whole way to your back wall.
Well, there's a lot of space in the midfield as well, and Space Station, you got to give him credit. I've gotten some great clears to get over that man in the midfield, and really that's the best spot for that last defender to defend at that point. Space Station have had so much space to set things up. Sonics have had to just retreat to their back wall and make the save.
Reynolds, hard cut, but J-Russ puts it right back. He's got the boost, takes a shot, and Reynolds picked up the save. Quickly up for it is Arsenal behind the ball, but he actually misses. J-Russ picked up the demo, quickly turns around, now goes the ball. Hard against the back wall, 2 touches. Reynolds got 1, but Roldiz is there and it's still in the air. This is it for the Sonics. They got to steal this ball from Space Station. They fail, and Space Station qualify for stage 2. Sonics will have to try one more time.
Yep, Sonic's not out of it, but a valiant effort here against Space Station, in my opinion. I thought they played, compared to their last series, I thought Sonics played phenomenal here against Space Station, and I think that there's still minor things to work on. Again, I feel like the numbers down on defense was a huge concern. Space Station is a team that will take advantage of it. You saw it a few times, but overall, I don't think the Sonics can be too disappointed here with this performance. I mean, you're playing against one of the best teams in the world right now, and you kept it close, and you really put the hurt on them in some of these games.
I think it just shows to the strength of Space Station that even when a team that so far this season hasn't really played the way you hope they had, when they do play well, that a team like Space Station being able to stick to their game plan, not get fuzzed by Sonics on what they were doing, and being successful in the physical game and finally getting more leeway in the boost department. But Space Station, were always trying to keep the ball close, never trying to overcommit or rush their touches. I think that's what makes them such a hard team to crack. We got more Rocket League coming up after the break to finish out the day. The rest of this round and round 5 coming up later.